Imagine you're running a facility, or maybe you're just trying to get your head around local rules that, well, they really impact community care. You need the essential info on a complex regulation like right now without getting totally bogged down in jargon. What's required and, why does it actually matter? Okay, so let's unpack this. Today, we are diving into some really significant shifts down in Palm Beach County, Florida. Specifically, we're looking at updates to their zoning rules. These affect group homes and assisted living facilities. And just quickly, when we say zoning rules, we basically mean the local regulations on how land gets used. Is it for houses, businesses, or crucially here, where these specific care facilities can actually set up shop? Our mission for this deep dive? Well, it's to cut through the noise. We want to reveal the core of these changes, figure out why they happened, and importantly, what happens if you don't comply. The aim is to make sure you really grasp the essentials of this update. Maybe you're directly affected, or maybe you're just curious about how local government, shapes community care.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is how just one zoning update can ripple outwards like this. It's not just the facility owners feeling it, it's maybe even more critically, the residents who count on these places for a safe home.
That's a really important point.
And it kind of points to a wider trend, doesn't it? Local governments using planning powers to tackle social issues, stepping in where maybe state or federal oversight is a bit broader.
Absolutely. So the big change we're focusing on, it stems from a 2021 update to Palm Beach County's zoning code.
Oh.
And like you said, this wasn't just for new places starting up, was it?
No, not at all.
It created this new requirement for all group homes and assisted living facilities.
Yeah.
I mean, even the ones already operating. They suddenly had to register with the local government for zoning approval.
That's right.
That sounds like a huge task, bringing existing places under a new rule like that.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason? Why such a broad, almost retroactive requirement? Were there specific problems they were trying to fix?
There were, yeah. Essentially, it came down to a recognized need for, well, better oversight and accountability. Before this update, you had situations where maybe facilities were operating in areas that weren't quite suitable, residential zones maybe. Sometimes that led to friction with neighbors, or maybe the places lacked certain safety standards for the people living there, so it wasn't just paperwork for paperwork's sake.
Okay, so it was a response to real concerns on the ground.
Exactly. It was a direct response. And for those existing homes, the path forward really depended on their status before the update. There were basically two main scenarios.
Let's break those down.
Okay, so first scenario. If your facility, your group home or assisted living facility, was not licensed or certified by the state of Florida before this 2021 change, you were given a 1-year window, just 1 year from the update, to get that required state certification.
A hard deadline then.
A very critical deadline. And if you didn't get that certification within the year, well, then the facility was considered illegal and it had to close. Either within 1 year from that deadline passing, or actually within 60 days if your certification application was denied, whichever of those dates came first.
Okay, so just to clarify something here. It sounds like the state is handling the care side of things. Medical stuff, staffing levels, resident rights maybe.
That's generally right, yes.
But the county's zoning part is more about where these places can physically be located, how they fit into the neighborhood fabric. Is that the key distinction?
That's a great way to put it, yes. The state focuses on the quality of care inside the facility. The county, using its zoning powers, makes sure the facility is in an appropriate location, that it doesn't, say, put too much strain on local resources or isn't out of character for the area.
Gotcha. So it's like a dual layer of oversight.
Precisely. It aims to ensure both the quality of the care itself and the suitability of the actual physical environment.
Okay, that makes sense. So what was the second scenario for existing facilities?
Right. The second path was for facilities that were already licensed or certified by the state before the 2021 update.
Okay, so they already had their state credentials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For them, it was simpler, relatively speaking. They just needed to provide proof, a copy of that existing license or certification to the county's zoning division. And they also had that 1-year time frame from the update to get that proof submitted.
And if they didn't? If they failed to register or just didn't send in the proof?
Well, then they faced a choice. Option 1, close the facility, which obviously involves relocating residents. Option 2, apply for zoning approval all over again, but this time under the new ordinance, which, could be a pretty involved reapplication process.
Okay, so let's say a facility gets through that initial process. They register, they provide proof, they're compliant. Are they, done then? Or does the county keep checking in?
That's a key part. No, it's definitely not a one-and-done deal.
Right, I suspected as much.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. The county can also put in place an ongoing annual requirement.
Annual.
Yes. Every single year, all group homes and assisted living facilities have to submit proof that they still hold a valid state license or certification or charter.
So continuous verification.
Exactly. And if a facility doesn't provide that proof each year, their zoning approval can actually be revoked.
Revoked, which means?
Which means they could potentially be forced to close down. It essentially builds in this mechanism for sustained year-after-year accountability.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what does this really mean on a practical level for the facilities, for the residents, for the community? I mean, looking at the source material, it seems like compliance obviously brings some clear benefits, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For an operator, number one, it keeps your operation legal. That avoids sudden shutdowns, avoids hefty fines. Nobody wants that.
Right. Peace of mind, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe even more importantly, meeting these standards continuously helps ensure that residents have a genuinely safe and secure place to live. And for the operators who do navigate this successfully, it means they can run their facility knowing they're meeting the requirements, avoiding those kinds of headaches later on. It's about being seen as legitimate, accountable providers.
And if you zoom out, look at the bigger picture. It's really about establishing that clear oversight. It's accountability in a sector that, let's face it, cares for often vulnerable people. It ensures certain minimum standards are consistently met year in, year out. This isn't just abstract regulation. These updates were designed to tackle real issues like, poor living conditions or facilities popping up in unsuitable zones.
So it's a safety net, in a way.
It's definitely a mechanism meant to boost safety and transparency in these really vital community care settings. It helps build or rebuild trust between the facilities, the residents, and the wider community.
Okay, let's quickly recap the main points from this deep dive into Palm Beach County's zoning updates then. The big one was the 2021 code change. It mandated registration for all group homes and ALFs, even existing ones.
Right. No grandfathering in that sense?
No. And we saw those two pathways. Previously, unlicensed places had a year to get state certified or face closure. Previously, licensed places just needed to provide proof within that year, or they'd risk closure or having to reapply under the stricter new rules.
And don't forget the ongoing part.
Crucially, yes. That ongoing commitment, the annual license verification. If you miss that, your zoning approval could be revoked, potentially leading to forced closure. So the deadlines are pretty clear, and consequences for not complying seem quite severe.
And, this whole situation raises a broader point for all of us, I think. When we discuss rules and regulations, particularly around vulnerable groups, it's easy to see them as just bureaucratic hurdles.
Yeah, just red tape.
Right. But often, they're actually critical tools for safety, for transparency. They ensure that certain basic standards are met consistently for people needing structured care. It's really about setting clear expectations, fostering legitimate operations, and building that essential trust in community services.
That's a really thoughtful way to frame it. So, thinking about all this, for you listening, what does this deep dive spark? What does it make you consider about that balance? The balance between necessary regulation on one hand and the day-to-day operational realities of actually providing these essential community services on the other. And maybe think about how local changes like these in one county might echo outwards. How could they affect how we think about care across the country, especially if we see more local governments stepping up to address very specific community needs?